Hi, everybody. This is Carmela from Carmela's Rasslin Radio, Relived, and I'm here with my bestie, Jeannie. How you doing, honey?
Hi, I'm good, Carm. How are you?
I'm good. I love you.
I love you more.
I love you most. We have a lot to talk about tonight, and we have a special guest tonight. His name is Ryan Kavanaugh. He's actually the owner of the ECWA, which is a wrestling show that Jeannie and I and Joel went to last week. We'll talk about that when we talk with him, but we have a few things we want to talk about first. I wanted to let you know that we're filming the show tonight, which is Friday, because we are accommodating our guests. The next few weeks, we may be filming the show on Friday as well, because some of us have to work on Saturday for the next few weeks. So we'll see what happens. But we're going to do the show tonight. I'm going to drop the show tonight. Do everything tonight, and then tomorrow we'll put it on Facebook. Well, by the time you get this, it'll be today. So, also wanted to let everybody know I cut my nails.
Oh my God!
They're gone.
Why?
Well, because they kept breaking. They were getting too long, and they just kept breaking. So what I'm going to do is I cut them all off, and we're going to restart. A couple weeks, I'm going to have them all back again. So I just wanted to share that with everybody. Okay, now, we also, don't forget, we have a big announcement. The 2025, there's on May 3rd, there is something special coming.
Save the date.
Yep, save. The building has been contracted. We have that, okay? We don't have anything else specific to tell you yet. The 3rd of August was last week, and we were all in Delaware. We went for a fantastic night. We had a great night.
Oh my God.
I wanted to specifically say thank you and oh my God to Mr. Ooh La La. Okay.
Oh,
it wasn't he great? Wasn't he?
really was.
Yeah.
He always is.
He never disappoints.
Never
disappoints.
Never.
No, I said to Jeannie, she and I were sitting there next to Joel, and we're waiting, and as per, he climbs up the steps, trips, and falls down, and like he had toilet paper hanging out of his underwear. I mean, he was amazing. How this man can still function and move like that is beyond comprehension, because not me, I couldn't do it. Okay.
Yeah.
But he does it, and he's amazing, and I love him, and I could watch him wrestle all the time. So, Mr. Ooh La La, Jeannie and I send props out to you.
Yes.
Okay. You were wonderful. And we'll talk about the show later when Ryan comes on.
Yeah.
Also wanted to talk about how good it was being with Joel. We met a friend of his named Sandra. We had a really good night. We went out to eat afterwards. It was a great night. I'm hoping that people from the podcast were there. No one said anything, but I think that we had a few people there. I think that if you were there, write to us and let us know, okay? And Jeannie, I got to tell you, we are doing so good so far, and I'm going to do this on the air. I'm thanking you, God, okay?
Yep.
Exactly. Right at this moment, and I thank Joel for this as well, we are booked almost every single Saturday with either a guest, a special guest, or a fan who is also a special guest until almost the end of December.
Yes.
So we are packed.
Exciting.
Okay? And I'm so excited. Jeannie, excited. We're both excited. I'm asking you again, please. You see everything on your screen. It's Rasslin Radio Relived, 316carmela@gmail.com. You can write to Jeannie or write to me there. We're asking you, when you watch the podcast, please subscribe, like it, and share it. Once you subscribe and we drop it every week, it will automatically come to you as a notification. All right. Also wanted to say thank you again to Brian Trammell, because again, if it wasn't for him, there would be no podcast. So please understand that. Brian, I hope you come back once in a while and say hello. But Brian's very busy right now with his 3,000 or 4,000 podcasts that he's doing. Okay. He's so wonderful. He's so great. And he left me a tape that I haven't had a chance to listen to yet, but something to help us maneuver the screen a little bit better, but we'll get to that as we go along. Now, we have some really super sad news today. We wanted to announce, for those of you who may already know, and for those of you who don't, our dear sweet Kevin Sullivan has passed away. He's 74. God bless that man. He was married to a woman, okay, at one point. He was the devil. He always played the devil. He was so incredibly wonderful in his career. Nancy, when they divorced, Nancy went on to marry Chris Benoit. But he did, and when Joel comes back on the show, he'll talk about it too. But he did a lot of stuff for TWA, for Joel's organization. I knew him back in the day. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful man. Matter of fact, I was just talking to Glenn Osborne on Messenger, and we were talking about all the tributes that are going up to Kevin Sullivan. All over Facebook, Instagram, all over social media. He was a one-of-a-kind man. I don't know if you ever had the pleasure of meeting him, Jeannie.
Yes. Yeah. Once or twice. Nothing he wouldn't know me from Adam, or anything like that. But he was always kind and just a real nice guy. Good guy.
Yeah, real great man. And it is truly a loss to the wrestling world.
Yes.
And to anybody who knew him. So God rest in peace, Kevin Sullivan. Our hearts and our thoughts are with you and your family always.
Yes.
Okay, we have a couple things we wanted to talk about tonight too. A little bit of news, coming up. We wanted to talk about SummerSlam from last week as well. Can't let SummerSlam go by without talking about it. Not going to talk about the entire show. We're going to talk about several things. Okay, Jeannie, I know you actually did watch this, right?
I watched the replay because we were in Delaware till very late.
I know. I can't believe
couldn't watch it live, but I watched the replay of it on Sunday.
Okay, I did too. Actually, I watched some of it on Saturday night. I can't believe I was out of the house from 12:30 till 10:30. Those of you who know me
neither.
You don't believe it either, right? Those of you who know me know that I just don't do that, okay? I told you before, I have some back issues, stuff like that. But let me tell you, I really had a good time. Really, really had a good time.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, Miss Jeannie and I are going to be attending a few more independent shows coming up. Did you check that one for the 8th of September? Is it really that day yet, or don't you know?
You know what? I'll have to double check.
Okay.
Yeah, I still don't haven't seen where they posted when the show is going to be.
Okay. All right. Well, let us know. Hopefully we'll know by next week. All right. Now let's go to SummerSlam. Needless to say, everybody knows Roman Reigns showed up. Okay. He's back, and he has this shirt that has OTC, which I'm assuming means Original Tribal Chief. He came out very, very non-pomp and circumstance. He had like different music. He came out to head of the table, and he gave the Superman punch and the spear to Solo Sikoa, helping Cody Rhodes win the match. Okay, because all during the night, Cody was getting his butt handed to him because everybody kept jumping in. Okay.
Yeah.
So Randy went out, Kevin Owens went out. They wound up going in the back, with the two Samoans, and then Roman came out and took care of, as they say, business. Okay. So we're waiting to see. Tonight is SmackDown. I believe I read and I was told that tonight and next Friday will definitely be 2 nights that Roman Reigns will be on SmackDown. So that'll be something very cool that we all want to watch. Matter of fact, when this podcast is over tonight, it'll be over in enough time for us to actually watch it. There were 4 title changes at SummerSlam. One of them was Nia Jax. She beat Bayley.
I'm so over Nia Jax.
I
can't watch her. I fast forwarded through that match. I watched the beginning of it, and I'm just like, in my opinion, she's god awful. She's just god awful.
Well, I think that also has something to do with how they're using her. I really do. They're pushing her as this huge immovable object, and this
and I get that,
force.
and I do get that, but she's just so bad at, I don't know, just selling the bumps and taking, and I don't know. I'm just not a fan. I was really loving when she first came on the scene, but I don't know. I don't know if it. Yeah, I'm just not. I'm not a fan. I can't.
Well,
I love Bailey, but
I love Bailey too. I'm hoping that she turns out to be a good champ, because when Vince was there, it upset me, and I said it back then, that she was the only woman who had her weight announced, and I didn't think that was fair at all. Okay.
Yeah.
She has lost some weight, and I would love to see them promote her as a talent rather than a big woman. And I think that's part of the reason, Jeannie, why they haven't pushed her as far as training and stuff like that much, because all this time that Vince was there, they just pushed her as a big woman, a big woman, a big woman. And, and I'm over that. I'm over that whole scenario,
Yeah.
However, I didn't care for the match the way it ended. I didn't care. Tiffany Stratton came in, and she and Nia had talked earlier about her not trying to cash in on the Money in the Bank, even if Nia won, because Nia wanted to control that whole thing. And she ran in because she kind of wanted to do it, but then she looked at Nia and she's like, better not. So she didn't do it. Okay. But that was the end of that. The other match was one of my favorites, LA Knight and Logan Paul. LA Knight beat him. Thank you, God. And
Yes.
he took the belt. All right. Again, I will reiterate, Logan Paul was trained excellently. He's an excellent wrestler. I don't like him. Period. I don't like him. I'm sorry.
Yeah. He's a great heel. I mean, he's definitely he's a good wrestler, and
he is.
Definitely gets people to not like him, which me, I always love the bad boy, but yeah, and then him bringing his friends everywhere, it's just like, who cares? Like, who are they? Go away.
Yeah,
we don't need you.
No, I don't like any of that. I'm glad he got beat. Also, I'm going to be honest, I'm not a fan of his drink called Prime. I don't know if you ever tried it.
No.
A young man that I work with had it, and he let me taste it. And supposedly it doesn't have any sugar in it, but it's sweet as hell. And my daughter was telling me that she read up on it, and it's not healthy. I don't know why, but that's what she said. But I'm not going to drink that anyway. Okay, so LA Knight, he kicked butt. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
He did real well. I mean, he went toe for toe.
Yeah.
They both were good. They really were. And LA Knight won the championship. I'm glad he did. I think he deserved it. I think he, should have gotten it. And then let me see. It was also Damian Priest lost to the ring general, Gunther. I know, I felt bad about that, but that was also because of Finn Balor.
Mm-hmm.
And that was because that faction of Judgment Day has now broken up. Dominic, and I said that Dominic went with, what's her face, Liv Morgan. And I think that, now the new Judgment Day is Liv Morgan, Dominic, JD McDonough.
Okay, I gotta ask you for that match, the Liv Morgan match. Did Rhea's shoulder? It looked like that really dislocated.
It did look like it. It did. And when she banged it into the table,
yeah,
it was almost like you could hear it. I did hear that she has had some trouble with that shoulder, and that apparently was the same shoulder that she hurt.
From what I understand, once a shoulder dislocates, it's very easy to happen again, and it can, and it reminded me of the movie Lethal Weapon.
I was just going to say that, yes.
And, because I can pop it out, and, but it hurts putting it back in. So I didn't know if it really like just something that she could really, oh, I'll just pop my shoulder out, and if that was real or work, like
Well,
it looked real.
It did look real, and I don't know whether she actually did do it or not, but that is how you would do it.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't know, honest to God, if it was real or it was a work. I just don't know. The other title change was Sami Zayn. Poor Sami Zayn. I love him, but Breaker just ate him up and spit him out. Okay. Breaker and his father was there, and his uncle, the Steiner brothers, were there. But Breaker is a tough SOB, man. He really is.
Yeah.
And Sami Zayn, I love the guy. I do love the guy. He's always upbeat, always good, great wrestler. And he's right, always comes back. Every time you knock him down, he comes back. But that was a I can't even say I liked the match because Braun Breaker just tore him up. He held his own. He really did hold his own. I just really wanted to talk about those title changes. I'm not going to talk about the whole show. Right. Because the title changes are what's more important. We're gonna like I said, watch SmackDown tonight and see what's going on with that. There's going to be a whole bunch of stuff coming up. I mean, stuff that we're not even going to go into right now, but there's a whole bunch of stuff coming up with WWE. I'm going to talk a little bit about AEW. There's the young lady that we knew as Sasha Banks, whose name is Mercedes Moné. She listed that she's getting a divorce. And I kind of felt bad about that because when she got married, it was like, he was like the love of her life and blah, blah, blah. And they were getting along and everything. And then she said that, like, she still loves him and he's a great guy and this and that, but she wants to be on her own. She wants to be free. And I get that. Because, why shouldn't she? I mean, especially when you have the kind of life that wrestlers have. She's constantly running around, constantly doing all kinds of stuff. And, I get the fact that she wants to be free and wants to be on her own, even if they are still friends or remain friends, Also, there's a new lady on AEW. I don't know and I followed this woman for years. I just took a liking to her years ago. She calls herself Camille Brickhouse on Instagram. Her name is Camille, and now they call her The Brickhouse, Camille The Brickhouse. She's a really good, really tough, big girl. Not like Nia Jax like that, but she's a lot bigger than Sasha Banks. She brings a presence, and she's really good. So if you guys get a chance on AEW, her name is Camille, and like I said, they call her Brickhouse. Also on the AEW this past Wednesday. Okay, I told you before, like last week, about all the stuff that was going on with MJF and Will Ospreay. Okay, so during the match with MJF and Will Ospreay, no, wait a minute, it wasn't MJF and Will Ospreay. MJF jumped in on Will at the end of Will Ospreay's match, and his friend Kyle Fletcher jumped in. And they look exactly alike. They're very good friends. One's from Australia, one's from England. They're like brothers. They're so close. Anyway, this past Wednesday, Kyle Fletcher fought MJF. Very good match through the whole thing. But then, of course, MJF pulled out his ring and all that illegal stuff. And Kyle had an opportunity to use a screwdriver, and he did not. He threw it down. As soon as he did that, of course, MJF hit him between his legs, took out that ring, beat the hell out of him. Will Ospreay jumped in. And, of course, every time he jumped in, MJF, of course, ran away. And it was good. I really enjoy it. I like AEW. I do. I'm sorry. I do. But there's a pay-per-view coming up with Bryan Danielson, who, again, we knew as Daniel Bryan. He's going to go against Swerve. And he said one of the promises that he made was that he was going to become AEW champion, and he hasn't done that yet. And his stipulation is now it's at Wimbledon. It's called All In. And he said that it's the championship versus his career. So if he doesn't beat Swerve and get the championship, he's leaving. He's done. Okay, so I think that's going to be good. Anybody who watches AW, again, I'm going to say this: Swerve, one of the best wrestlers. He's really good. I love Prince Nana. I don't know if you ever saw it. He's the guy who comes out and does this. He does this dance, and then he does this stuff. It's funny. You got to watch it. I mean, like it's entertaining. It really is entertaining, and I kind of like it. I like it a lot. And it's like, to me personally, it's like old wrestling. It's not so much of the high flying, the acrobat, all that baloney. There's a lot of that in it, but it's not all that. There's a lot of wrestling, like a lot of wrestling, and there's a lot of storylines, and there's a lot of really good stuff. Like it's hard to explain everything because there's always something happening. Again, I told you I love Toni Storm, love her. Okay, she's going to be going against the girl named Mariah May. Mariah May was her protege. She came on as the protege to Toni Storm, and then she turned on her. Blah blah blah. So Wednesday night, somebody gave her beautiful, beautiful, huge picture of her. And it was beautiful of her and Toni Storm hugging. And then on the back it said, "Die, Mariah, die." And she didn't see it till she put it up. And she turned around and she was like, "No, no." And she freaked out and everything. So it's going to be good. Again, this particular, the AW pay-per-views you still have to pay for. Okay. So it's like $50. I don't know, man. One time I may just do it. I may just bite the bullet and jump in because I really want to watch it. This pay-per-view is going to be good. I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's this Sunday, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But again, it's called All In, and it's in Wimbledon. Wimbledon. Yeah, okay. One of those things. Okay. I don't know if there's anything else you want to contribute or anything else that we forgot to talk about or we didn't say yet.
The only other thing would be the to make sure everybody signs the petition for the banner.
That's right. Very
for the guys, good. For Joel and Tony Stetson and Johnny Hotbody and Larry Winters and who am I forgetting?
DC Drake.
Okay.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
We're gonna post the link every week when we post our show. Okay. So I'd like to do them both together. Bay, if you're listening, we need you to help us with this. Joel had said to me, he said he doesn't want it to get tired. He doesn't want it to be too much. But how can it be too much? You got to keep reminding people that we need the signatures. In all fairness, sign the darn thing, and you won't have to hear us complain about it anymore. So let's get that done, please. Sign the petition. It's for a good cause. It's to actually raise a banner at the 2300 Arena, where I think it belongs. Okay.
Yeah.
As I said, going down the road, we're going to do a tribute show to the late Larry Winters. With that said, we're going to try and do some TWA stuff as we go along. We're going to have some of Joel's guys on, and I'm really excited about that. I said, we're booking them a lot. And I think it's going to be a really, really good series of shows that we're going to have. Okay, I think Ryan is ready. I kind of see him down there a little bit. I don't know if he can see me waving. Oh, he's waving. Okay.
I can't see him.
No, I'm going to put him on. Ladies and gentlemen, this guy, and I'm going to be really honest with you, I met him for the first time last Saturday. I've heard Ryan's name. Yep. Okay. We've heard his name over and over and over again. Apparently, I mentioned before about our friend Matt, who took all of my Rasslin radio tapes and put them on digital. And Joel was telling me that Ryan has done similar things. So apparently Ryan is very techie too. We're going to find out a whole lot of stuff from Ryan because I have a ton of questions. Apparently Ryan is, moving a good bit in the wrestling world. He is the owner of the ECWA. We're going to talk about last week's show. And without any further ado, we're going to bring him on. And here's Ryan Kavanaugh. Hi, Ryan.
Hey guys, what's going on? Thanks for having me.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Thanks for being on.
It's good to see you. It's an honor to have you on. We have a lot to pick your brain about, believe me. I want to ask, how are your children?
They're good. They're all at my sister-in-law's house, so
Good.
their
How old are they?
house is very quiet. So 7, 5, and 2.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah.
Now
So
I understand.
yeah,
Because it's
maniacs,
funny
all
when
of them.
when Ryan first said to me, which is one of the reasons we're doing the show tonight, but Ryan said to me, it's going to be a lot of yelling in the background, and I thought to myself, because I raised 3 children, Jeannie raised 2, I thought to myself, wonder how old they are. Now that you mention their ages, I
They're
totally get it,
monsters. Yeah, they're absolute
100%.
monsters.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do, right? But let's talk about you. Who is Ryan Kavanaugh? Who
Yeah,
are you?
so I mean, nobody in the grand scheme of things, right? But I started in wrestling professionally anyway. In 2002, I started training to be a wrestler. My friends and I had a backyard wrestling TV show at the time, and some professionals saw us on TV and took exception to the fact that we were doing backyard wrestling for whatever reason. So anyway, I ended up training for a couple of years in the area I live in now, which is South Jersey. And then after a couple of years, we started running shows in probably about 2007. Same building we're running right now. We've pretty much stayed in the same building in Marlborough, New Jersey. But yeah, we've been running shows ever since then. Around 2019, Mike Tartaglia, who bought ECWA from Jim Kettner, was looking to offload it. And I guess I was one of the people he called, or maybe the only person he called. I'm not sure. And then, we took over, and then COVID happened. So
Yeah,
so
that
yeah,
has a tendency to stop things right there.
yeah, it was rough. But we navigated like everybody. We did our best with what we were dealt, and initially one of the first things I wanted to do was the documentary that we're trying to put together now. So the first thing I did was reach out to Jim Kettner, but he's very elusive and he's very hard to get a hold of. And he didn't know me and everything. So I think he did his research on his end to find out what kind of person I was and what I was actually looking for. And then, once I checked all the boxes, he called me back, and we just started talking over the last couple years, and it's really been like maybe a 2-year process to get last Saturday's show off the ground. And yeah, that's kind of where we're at now. Like now we're just looking to the next show, the next show, the next show.
And if I'm not mistaken, unless I heard wrong, you're also putting together a documentary film on the ECWA. Is that done now? Or
so
when
it's
will
not
that be
done
out?
now. Yeah.
Okay.
So my goal is the end of this year, early 2025. I'm usually a pretty fast editor, but there's so much. Like, put it this way: on Saturday we got 5 or 6 hours of just behind the scenes footage. That's not including the show or anything else. It's not including the documentary interviews that we did. We interviewed 21 people on Saturday alone. The entire documentary interviews over 100 people from ECWA's past. So it's been a long journey, and it's involved people from AEW and WWE and all the independents and, some names you might not know. So it's been like I said, it's been like a 2-year process at this point. And we're nearing the finish line. I think everything I have now is all I'm going to get as far as filming. I don't think I'm looking to film anymore. So now it's just a matter of hunkering down and editing and trying to tell a cohesive story. And then the painful part of that is, right, like you got to cut out a lot of good stuff when you're editing, so that hopefully that stuff can find its way out there somehow in the future.
Let me ask you a question now. What made you decide to do a documentary, and what made you want to buy ECWA, or instead of another promotion, or instead of going another route, or like what is the interest specifically in ECWA?
Yeah, so I don't know. Like I always was a fan of ECWA. I always was a fan, like everybody, of the Super 8 tournament. I remember as a kid, when I first found out about the King of the Ring, I was like, this is a real thing. And I used to just make brackets with my wrestling figures and just do tournaments all day long. I remember Memorial Day weekends, I would do these 64-man tournaments just because I figured out I could do 8 brackets. And I've always loved tournaments, and the idea that, you know, we could be in control of the Super 8 was just, you know, this awesome goal and this unachievable thing. And then I thought about it, and I was like, there's so much footage there that just it's never really seen the light of day. And you know, I don't know what you guys know about digitizing stuff. It sounds like, Carmela, you're
Nothing.
getting stuff transferred,
Yeah.
but it can be a really expensive process if you're not doing it yourself. And fortunately, for all our years of backyard wrestling, I've done nothing but like tape digitizing. My whole life is like analog to digital, like all of that stuff. So like getting handed over like, you know, 20 years of tapes
Wow.
was great for me, because it's like, okay, now I can sift through this stuff and start digitizing it before it gets lost to time, right? Because
Mhm.
that stuff has an expiration date. So yeah, so like that was a big incentive for me, was to make this stuff available to people. And you know, there's all these hidden angles and these hidden names that people might not know about. And then talking to Jim, he kind of let me know some of the angles they did over time, and all these different things that I had no idea about, that they weren't covered in the magazines. They're not on, you know, the Super 8 shows that were covered. So there's all this good stuff that was never told. So the only way to really get it out there in a quick format is to kind of do a documentary. And I've done short documentaries in the past, uh, and some longer ones, but it's always been stuff that was about stuff I was involved in, like my friends and stuff we did. So I never was able to tell somebody else's story. So that was kind of like the unique challenge of this, was getting out there and being able to tell somebody else's story and seeing if I could do a good job with it. So
Well,
that'll be
where will
the
we be
test.
able? I'm sorry. Go ahead, honey. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's it. That'll
Okay.
be the test, is if it is a good job. We'll see.
Where will we be able to see it? I'm sure it'll be a great job, but where will we be able to see it when it's ready?
So we're working on that still. We don't know as far as distribution and everything like that. There's a couple different options, but it's you don't know, you know, this guy knows a guy here at Netflix. You never know what's actually going to happen. My
Mhm.
ultimate goal that I've been saying from the beginning is I just want to get all the people together who helped make the film in a movie theater to see it. After that, I don't care. I'll put it on YouTube. I don't care. I just want everybody who helped make the movie to be able to see it in an actual theater. And we have a way to do that out in Delaware without getting into all the details. But
Well, we
that's
didn't
my
help you make
immediate
it,
goal.
but we didn't help you make it. But could we come and see it at the movie theater?
Sure. Yeah, sure. Of course.
All right. So let me ask you, why are you not wrestling?
Because I'm 40, and
Okay, all right.
no, you know, years ago, I was putting myself on my own shows, and I know what that looks like to the audience. Once they kind of know who's booking it, they already, like, anytime you win a match, they're already like, is that for the story or is that for the guy's ego? And truth be told, you know, you guys have done stuff with wrestling. It's, you know, how many questions you get and how involved you need to be when you're planning stuff. And trying to do that and then plan a match and then get ready for your match and then get out there and do the match. I remember one time going out and I came to the back and I was literally out there for like 2 seconds and all the audio and video equipment was out. Like I had been gone for 2 seconds and everything was off. So now I'm scrambling, trying to put everything back and it's just, you know, it's just not worth the headache after a while, you know? So for me, like, I don't really get satisfaction from being a performer anymore. I know a lot of guys do and a lot of girls do. It's just not something I enjoy. I prefer watching people kind of let their dreams happen.
So is that what you did for a living or do for a living, is tech stuff? I mean, are you
Yeah, I work in the security industry, but I kind of design stuff for that.
Very cool.
So yeah, it's a bunch of nerdy stuff, pretty much. Yeah.
That's hey, nerds are the best people, let me tell you. I'm telling you. Well, it's funny because when this young man, Matt, he found me on Messenger, on Facebook Messenger, out of the clear blue sky, and he said to me, what are you going to do with your Rasslin Radio tapes? You know, and I said, what do you mean? Because I've had over the years, you're talking 40 years, I've had people asking me, you know, do you want to sell them? Can I take your wrestling? Can I? And I said, no, nobody's touching those tapes. You know, those tapes are historic to me. They're priceless, you know. And unfortunately, but priceless and everything, they've been under my bureau for 40 years in a Tupperware container doing nothing, you know. So Matt said to me, he goes, look, he said, just, would you like to leave a legacy for your children? I mean, would you like them to be able to go to YouTube or be able to, and say, that's my mom? And I was like, wow, because right away I started to cry, and I was like, wow, like that would be awesome, So he started to digitalize them all. I mean, I literally, without word of lie, made him sign a contract that if something happens to these videos, I will find you,
Right.
And he did such a great job. And then all of a sudden, this idea of a podcast popped into my head, and I figured everybody else is doing it, Come to find out, we hooked up with this young man named Brian Trammell, who is a wonderful guy. He actually was one of our fan club members, and he has his own podcast, more than one, that he's had for many years. He's a little techie himself, way more than me, okay? And he said, let's do this. So we did. And I don't do anything without Jeannie. So Jeannie's my, she's my partner, my buddy, my co-host, whatever. At some point, I'm going to probably revamp Rasslin Radio. I didn't tell her this yet, and include her name in it. It started out as just a ha-ha.
No.
Yeah, no, yes. Started out as just a joke, We're like, oh, let's try it. Let's see what happens. You are our 21st guest, our 21st week already.
Oh, wow.
I can't believe how quickly it's gone by. But anyway, it turned into something that I truly enjoy. I have, and I don't know if you know this about me or if you listen to any of the podcasts, I have a history, a very, very big history in professional wrestling. I started in the business when I was 6. My parents before me knew everybody and their mother, prior to me. So I've been in the business for so long, doing a lot of things, but with me, it was all personal, where the wrestlers came to my house for dinner. They slept over. We hung out together, because back then, we talked about this a million times. They had to get their own transportation, their own food, their own this, their own that. So everybody just hop in a car and come over to my house, and, did it for the longest time. But all the time that I was with Joel all those years ago, I don't know when you met him, but I never heard your name until recently. How did you meet Joel?
So Joel won't remember this. I used to go to Mike and Joe's shows when they were running ECWA and when they brought back TWA. They would ask me from time to time to help out with music or video or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I would go and help out. So I first met Joel there, but he doesn't remember any of that. So in the last couple of years, I just kind of reached out. I wanted to do. We did a podcast for a little bit. He had some health issues for a little bit, so we weren't able to keep it up. But we were doing a podcast just talking about all the TWA stuff. And in doing that, the same thing, I said, do you have all the tapes and all of that stuff, and let's digitize it, and I'll give them all back to you. So that's what I did. I just digitized his VHS tapes, his cassette tapes, and just gave him a giant hard drive with all of it, because that stuff it gets eaten away after so many years. You just never know when that expiration date is.
Exactly.
So at least now you have it on a hard drive, and you can copy that hard drive to infinity, and you're not losing any quality at this point.
Well, talk about Joel not remembering. I had said to him when Matt did ours, I had said to him, "Hey Joel, you want to do yours?" And he's like, "Yeah, they're in the garage somewhere. I got to find them." Well, when I brought it up again a couple months later, he goes, "Oh, I gave them to Ryan." I said, "Who's Ryan?" No. And he said, I told you that. I said, "No, you didn't." I said, "You were going to give them to me to give to Matt." And he said, "No, I gave them to Ryan a long time ago." And I'm like, "Joel, we talked about this." No, we didn't. And that was the end of it. He started yelling at me. And it's funny when Joel and I, Jeannie can tell you, whenever Joel and I are together, that's how we love each other. We fight and we argue and we hit each other and we hate each other, but that's how we get along. Yeah. But now let's go back to last week, because Jeannie, I know you're going to get really involved in this as well. But last week's show was something to really, really, really talk about. Yeah. Really take in. Okay. It was truly a night of legends. Okay. I was extremely impressed with a lot of things that went on that night. Tell us a little bit about how that night came into play.
So I don't know, maybe back in January, I talk to Jim Kettner almost every day, if not every other day. And so occasionally, if I'm out there for work or anything like that, I'll try to swing by and we'll get lunch or whatever. So it was in probably around January, February. I played a video for him, and it was all the guys at the end of the documentary kind of talking about Jim. And I played it for him, and then I gave him the hard pitch, right? Like, we need to have an end to the documentary, and the end has to be a show. Everybody says the same thing. They wish they got to say goodbye. They wish, and he thought about it, and he just couldn't commit to it. So like a week goes by, and he calls me. He goes, "Hey, listen, if you want to do the show, I'll help you out however I can. I just don't want to. I don't want to write the show. I don't want to, seem like I'm trying to get attention." And he's very low key. He doesn't want a big fuss.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, "Yeah, that's great. Let's do that." And then slowly but surely, it was. He's like, "I got one idea. Okay, perfect. Let's do that." He's got another idea. Let's do that. And before you know it, all his ideas are in the show.
Oh, wow.
So it truly was a Jim Kettner show. The entranceways, and like a lot of guys were like big on like the entranceways that we had there.
Right.
Like Jim went out and got those made by the original guy who made them the first time. Like
Mm-hmm.
every detail that was there. Like he was there with us the night before till midnight, making sure that the seating arrangement was correct and that the right people were sitting in the right spots.
Isn't that great? Like, I'm going to cry. I don't know why, but this is it's really good. It's great. God.
So yeah, it was one of those shows that, and I think I said this on social media. If I didn't, I meant to. It was one of those shows that stay with you for a while. You don't get those too often. And it was, I never had been to a Jim Kettner ECWA show. I never got the chance. But I felt like I had been, you know what I mean? Like it was unique and it was different. And I don't know, it was a special moment in time on Saturday. And I'm very grateful for everybody who helped us out. It was a massive undertaking for, that show. It was an exhausting couple of days, and it was it's very hard to say it's all worth it after something like that, but it was beyond worth it.
Yes.
We were very impressed with a lot of things, but I have to apologize to you first about something. I had no idea at the time that it was going to be part of a documentary or that it was being filmed specifically for something. I thought it was just a wrestling match because we didn't know all this, So being me, and you don't know who I am, Jeannie does, and she reminded me that night that I need to work on my people skills, okay? But I have to tell you, I first of all appreciate the fact that you did announce our podcast, or did have it announced.
Oh, sure.
I went up to one of the guys taking the pictures, and I said to him, "Hey," I said, "do you think you could ask the announcer to re-announce this when people are actually in their seats and not during intermission?" And he's like,
Did they do it? Did they do it?
No, because he was like, I'll ask, and I turned into me, okay. And I said, "Come on, I did nothing but plug this thing for weeks." I said, "You could announce it one more time."
I never heard about it, so sorry about that.
I told him, I said, "Could you go?" And then I came and I told Jeannie what I said, and she said, "Carm, you got to work on your people skills a little." I said, "Oh, come on, But no, it really was. It was an honor to at least have it done, and I appreciate that. So I apologize if I overstepped.
No, this is the first I'm hearing of it. So
well, now, damn it, why didn't you have it up front again? Okay. But anyway, I want to talk a little bit about some of the wrestlers that were there, and I got to be honest with you. I apologize because I don't know all their names. I really don't. But I was so impressed. I gave out some of my cards, and I went and asked Chris Wilde, and I asked Low Key if they wanted to be on the podcast. Hopefully, with your help, we'll be able to get a few of these people on. Actually, anybody who wants to come on can come on. I mean, I'm not picking and choosing. But sure. Low Key, to me, personally, all right, was so impressive, okay? He looked like, the way he acted, the way he carried himself, like he could have been in a Mission Impossible movie, okay? I don't even know how to explain it. He was so amazing. He really was. I've never seen the guy before. I have no idea who he is, none. I went up to him after the match, and I said to him, I gave him a card. I said, please, if you want, give me a call. I said, you'd be on my podcast. I loved what you did. Okay. Again, forgive me. I don't know everybody's name, but Jeannie, those the ones that were in the match with Chris Wilde. Do you remember any of their names?
Oh, Aiden Chambers, who I adore, and
Chase Delmonte.
Chase.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, those three in that match did not miss a beat. All right.
Yeah, I don't think Aiden Chambers has worked a match in like 10 years.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
I could be wrong, but it's crazy.
It might. He. I think he came back. There was because he's good friends with Kakoa, who used to be in ECWA, and they wound up being tag team champions and things like that. And I think there was a show that Kakoa put on. It was a benefit show, and he came in for it, and it was. But and I think that was like maybe 5 years.
Okay,
maybe longer than that. Yeah, probably close to 10 years. But yeah. No, Aiden Chambers is amazing. I saw him. I got chills. I'm like, oh my God, it's Aiden. And same with Chris. And yeah, it was good because I never been. Huh?
No, go ahead. I said I was sitting in my book writing all this stuff.
Yeah. I never went to a Jim Kettner show either. I went after Mike Tartaglia bought it, and because I knew him from back in the day, him, Joe Zanoli, John Finnegan, Joel, obviously, and and that's found out. Oh, okay, yeah, I'll go. And went for like a good 10 plus years.
Oh, wow.
Going to ECWA and, getting to know all of the guys and Bob Ortiz is the ring announcer, and love him. And, so the guys from that era, I knew and loved and thought the product was just great. It really was just great. Loved it. And I did go, I guess it was for about a year and a half, to the ECWA when she took it over in Morgantown.
Morganville. Yeah.
Morganville.
Okay, great.
And going up there. It's just, it's about an hour and 15, an hour and a half from me. And it's like, just driving all the way up there.
It's a drive. Yeah, it's a drive. Yeah.
Yeah. Where Delaware was only, 50 minutes to go to those shows and stuff. And when he had it here in South Jersey, it was, not far, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever. So that got to be a little bit of a hike, especially with COVID and, everything. It was, yeah.
Now, Jeannie, you mentioned earlier that Ryan may have. Do you have more than one promotion? Jeannie mentioned something about. What did you say?
I thought I had heard a few years ago that you also own another promotion, like 1WC or 1CW or.
No, I think they're in Delaware or Pennsylvania. We did a show called
Delaware, Maryland.
World One Wrestling was the name of our show.
World One. Okay.
Yeah, I did that with.
There was a one in there.
I did that with Steve Carino for a number of years.
Oh, okay.
So he was my guy.
Yeah.
And then we stopped doing those shows when the pandemic / we took over ECWA. We just kind of did one.
Gotcha.
So we haven't resumed any of the World One stuff. We are looking to tape some stuff. I'm kind of off hands on that. I'm letting the guys handle that, but we're taping stuff before our shows for this World One project that whatever. It's a project that's going to come out later next year, I think.
Because I think a lot of the guys that are in ECWA came from there.
Yeah. A lot of the core guys that we use on every show are guys I grew up with. That we were backyard wrestling since we were 15.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So our core guys are guys I've had my entire life in wrestling.
Yeah.
So, just not unlike Jim had the same kind of thing. They started out as a backyard show, and he carried most of those guys with him to the bitter end. So
that's awesome.
And I will say that when is your next show there?
September 14th.
Okay.
In Delaware.
No.
New Jersey.
Oh,
New Jersey.
I was just
near you,
where?
Carmela. It's only like a half hour from you. Yeah.
And is that Morganville?
Yeah.
Morganville, Marlboro, New Jersey.
Okay, that's closer to me. Okay.
Yeah.
And when is it again?
September 14th.
Okay, everybody listen. All right, September 14th. And it's going to be under the guise of ECWA, correct?
That's right.
Okay, there's going to be an ECWA show in Morganville, Marlboro, up near me. So we're going to announce it. We're going to, when we get off the show tonight, if you would, Ryan, send me a little blurb in a text message or whatever about the show, so we can keep announcing it, because we announced last week's show, and I don't know, honestly, if any of our listeners were there, but I'd like to believe that even if we could, I'm saying I like to believe that even if we could contribute.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
That's what we want to do. And to give you a little bit of an insight on this podcast, I started this with the guise of wanting to tell stories. Okay. I tell my stories. Other people come on and tell their stories. I said this before, and I'll say it again. I'm not in competition with anybody. Okay. Not looking to score points, not looking to be better than. Okay. I just want to talk to people. I want to find out what makes other people tick. I want to find out why they're in the business, what they do and don't like about it, what stories they have that brought them where they are, which is what was great about you talking about the backyard wrestling and getting involved in all this, which is what I wanted to hear from the beginning. I'm grateful to have met you, and I'm grateful that you agreed to do the show, because there's so much that the wrestling fans don't know, because everything to them is WWE, and now it's AEW, and that's wonderful. Okay, don't get me wrong, but it's people like you and what you're doing that we want other people to see and hear, and to me personally, this brings back the time when I was younger, and you could actually talk to a wrestler without having to pay hundreds or thousands of dollars.
Is that what they're doing now?
My God, it's so much money, Ryan.
Oh, God. Okay.
But like with these guys, like during intermission or whatever, they came out, and all of them, from what I could see, were so kind. They were so kind to the fans.
And that's the norm. That's the norm for ECWA. They always, before the show, intermission, and after the show, the guys come out. And I know when Mike had it, it was mandatory. If you want your merch table, get out there, and associate with the fans and, stuff like that, and get them. And some guys did not like doing it, even if they didn't have merch, they just didn't, and it was like, if you want to work for me, get out there.
Yeah.
I think that's a good policy to have. And like, I went out to meet these wrestlers. Okay. They didn't know me. I didn't know some of them. I went up to them and never said, "Oh, I'm Carmela, you should know me." No, it was nothing like that. I went up as a fan, as just a regular person. I asked them, "Hi, this is my card. Do you do podcasts? Blah blah blah. Would you like to? Whatever." There was another gentleman there. He was the one, Jeannie, that had the really, really long blonde hair. I don't remember his name. He was out during the Legends match too.
Yeah, Ryan.
What was his name, Ryan?
Was it Vince Goodnight?
Yes. He was very kind, very sweet. He said that he would like to do the podcast too. So with that said, I'm going to pick your brain a little bit. I would like to try, if it's all right with you, to keep ECWA as an integral part of what we do. I think it's important for people to know. I think it's important for people to realize that, we can actually sit down and talk to these wrestlers. No, they're not Roman Reigns. They're not Hulk Hogan, thank God. They're not Cody Rhodes. No, they're not. Okay. But they are talented. They are wrestlers. They are, and here's the big word, it's coming. They are kind. And they don't treat the people like you are here for me. They treat the people like I am here for you. And that's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way it used to be. Okay. And if you don't mind, I would love very much to have, and we're going to go, we're into January almost now with doing people on our podcast. But if you don't mind, I would love very much if you would help us maybe, and you're welcome to come back 1,000 times if you want to, but to maybe get some of these guys on the podcast, to give us their story.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be great.
We've already had Monsieur Ulala on, who both of us absolutely adore.
One of my favorite people. Yeah.
Killed it. God. He killed it last Saturday night. Oh my God. He was he made it to the final too. Him and JJ the Cool Guy, who I also.
Everybody thought Ulala was going to win too.
I did.
Well, I said to Carm, I said, I've seen him in other battle royals, and his MO is he hides under the ring and waits till everybody, which is brilliant, and then comes out and wins it. But him and JJ, the last, oh my God, it was just brilliant. It was brilliant. It was so good.
I was telling Jeannie just when the show started today, and I had told Ulala this too. I said, I'm 67, and like, there's no way on God's green earth I can do any of the things I used to be able to do years ago. This guy, okay, I don't know how he does it. I don't know where he gets it from, but once he gets into that ring, his body is a rubber band.
Yeah.
It's like Jell-O. I don't know how he does it. How that man can fall the way he does.
No idea.
I'm telling you, he turns into jelly. That's simple. All right. And I even told him to make sure he listened this week because I was going to talk about him. We were going to talk about him. So I would love very much, again, as I said, to have AEW and you know what AEW, ECW. You know what I like the best about it though, and Jeannie can attest to this. Mr. Ulala has been involved in wrestling for 300-400 years now, maybe. Okay. That man actually said to Jeannie, okay, how was I? Did you guys like the match? Why would he care?
He messaged me and he's like, call me. And I'm thinking, oh my God, did something happen? And this was the next day. This was last Sunday. And I'm like, what? And he's like, was I okay? Did I disappoint you and Carmela at all? Like, how did you, like, he was, and usually after a show, he always comes up to me. He's like, was I okay? Was I good? Was it okay?
After every show, he's been on every show I've booked. And after every single show, without fail, at like 2 a.m, I get a message from him saying thank you. Every single time.
Yeah. He just is the best worker, the best, he does.
It's a different generation.
It is.
Totally different generation.
Definitely.
And I miss it.
I do too, Brian. I do too. And the thing is like, he doesn't have to. And here's my point.
Yeah.
No.
Another wrestler in the WWE or AEW, I don't think anyway, would ever call just a regular person and say, what do you think? Or how did I do? Or whatever. I wrote to him separately from Jeannie and I told him, I said, you definitely did not disappoint, whatever. And when he was even on our show, he's constantly sending stuff to us like, well, this is what happened here. And really thank you. And it was a privilege to have you there watching and this and that made us feel so good. Okay.
Yeah.
And again, and this is what I want to reiterate. This is what I want the fans to know. If that's what you want and you want to go old school and you want to be able to sit down and talk to these wrestlers like they're people and not like they're big celebrities that don't have time for you, go to these shows. Okay. I'm going to get Ryan, please, if you don't mind. Again, I would love to have a list if you have one, whatever you got. Give me whatever you got. Contact the guys. Give them my number. I think you have a card, right?
I don't know. I might have gotten one. I
All
have
right.
like
Well, we'll go.
8
You have my
boxes in
number
my
anyway.
car. I
That's
haven't
great.
gone through. So yeah.
You have my number. Give
Yep.
them my number. Please, because I want to have them on. I want the young people today out there to know what it's like for some of these guys who are young and how they started out in the modern times compared to 40, 50 years ago. I have stories, yeah, but this is today. And I think it's important for people to listen. A lot of people don't listen to podcasts and stuff like that because they're all mundane and they're like, blah, blah, blah. But I have a purpose and I want people to know, maybe even one day we can all get together and have a party, have a dinner, have something. I'll even cook. I don't care. I would. And you can ask Joel. Joel is always busting my chops about cooking. He was telling me that he wants to have some of the wrestlers at his house one day. He said, you and Jeannie come over and I want spaghetti and meatballs. Because we were already over there about, a month and a half ago, Jeannie? And I made him chicken cutlets.
Couple months now.
Yeah, a couple months.
Yeah.
I made him chicken cutlets. And, we had a blast. I mean, Joel and I, are really good friends. We love each other, but we fight constantly. And we had a great time. And that's what I was raised on. I was raised on cooking for wrestlers and having them around and, all this other stuff. And I think it would be nice for the fans to be able to see some of that and to say, these are people. They're not just images. They're not just holier than thou. They're people.
Well, I know the one good thing about ECWA, since I've been going, is it's, quote unquote, family friendly. You're not going to see, if there is blood, it was a complete accident,
Yeah.
And, there's no sexual, stuff going on or anything like that. And I know, especially with Ooh La La, and it's not just Ooh La La, but, I've seen him do it the most. Like, if there's a child, a little kid, and it's their first show, or even if it's not their first show, but they'll come and take the child into the ring to take a picture. And that's a memory that's going to be there forever.
Absolutely.
And it's just, and a lot of the guys, they will do that, and they're out there and they're taking, and they wind up having a fan for life. And if they're a bad guy, they let the little kids yell at them and whatnot, and then they'll yell back, and like, I don't stink, you stink, whatever.
Yeah. That's so cool.
And they love it. They love it. It's just you really,
Well, this happened.
Like I said, I'll never go to another WWE or AEW or any of that. I'm all about the indies. I want to support the guys because they are so good. And everybody that was in, WWE, they started out in the indies, in the territories. That's, and
yeah. Well, it's funny because we have a friend. Her name is Christine, and her little boy was a little boy back then. We took him to the ECWA, and it was Ooh La La, and I forget who else was, but I introduced them, and I said to them, I said, look,
I think it was Breaker as well.
Maybe it might have been him. Well, that's a whole nother cup of coffee. But anyway, we said, do you mind? Blah blah blah. And they took it. Well, Ooh La La brought him in the ring. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, he turned out wanting to become a wrestler for that reason.
Yeah, he started wrestling first of all, he was, when we met him, he was, I think, 10, 11. He's now 18, 6'4". And huge.
Yep.
And, like Mike Law and all these guys, and he's like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. And he wrestled in high school, and he's now going to be wrestling in college. And he did go to professional wrestling school, and but it got to be too much with school and everything. So he was taking a little break from that. But
maybe we could introduce him to you at one of your shows. Absolutely. I think he'd be impressed. Yeah. But let's talk a little bit more to you, Ryan. Sometimes I tend to go off on another tangent, and I have, how everybody's got their own sticks up their butt. Okay. I have several sticks up mine, and every once in a while they come out. Okay, yeah, they come out, and I don't like when wrestlers are not nice to people. I don't like it. I just recently had an encounter with somebody who was not nice to me. Okay, and I'm not a wrestler. I'm not famous. I'm not popular.
This wasn't Saturday, was it?
No.
Okay.
Nobody from your show. And I said, I got really angry, and I was like, who are you? Who do you think you are? Like, I could be your mother. So shut up, okay? And I don't like it. I don't like that. I like kindness, and your guys were kind, and that's all that matters to me. But I want to start coming to your shows. I do, okay? And if it's all right with you, and I wanted to ask you this in public. Maybe we could video some stuff, just some small stuff on the phone, and put it on, like when we do a podcast. Absolutely. I don't do anything without asking permission. Even though in today's world you really don't have to, but I want a rapport. I want to earn my respect. I want to give respect, and I want to earn it back. So that's what I'm saying to you. What I want to do is attend your shows. I want to push the heck out of it, and I want to, no, believe me, anytime, and I want to have people come. Now, again, you're not the WWE, okay? You're not AEW, all right? You don't have Solo Sikoa. You don't have Roman Reigns. You don't have Cody Rhodes. You don't have that. What you have, though, is hungry people, and people who want to perform, and people who want to make an impact, and they do. Now, I'm going to ask you, do you have, or have you ever thought about a wrestling school of your own?
I would never, ever do a wrestling school. That is the biggest money pit based on everyone I've ever talked to, including Joel. Actually.
He had one. Yeah,
he had one. Yeah.
Joel and Jim both said the same thing. It is the biggest money pit. And Jim even said, and I think it's part of the documentary, said, I would have closed it a year or two earlier if it wasn't for the Haas brothers. And I just wanted it for them so bad that I kept it open for another year or two. But, I don't know how anybody makes money as a wrestling school. I know Chaotic is doing well. Chase Del Monte, who was at the show, runs the Chaotic school up there. They do well. I think the Monster Factory is doing well.
They're still doing well.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a handful, but for me, I would never in a million years. And my wife asked me one time if I wanted to, because she was considering purchasing a daycare that's up the road and splitting it, where half daycare, half wrestling. I was like, I would never in a million years do that. Now, so I even had permission to do it.
but explain that a little bit more, because what you're saying is the tuition for becoming a wrestler wouldn't be enough to cover the expenses. Is that how that works?
I believe so. I just feel like, and this is going to get, my whole life I was like, the older wrestling people, they're just cranky, and now I'm turning into one of those. I just feel like the new generation, or this current generation, doesn't have enough respect or enough. I just had a guy recently. He kind of gave me the, hey, look, I don't really want to do this anymore. I know you guys created a bunch of vignettes. You created my music. You created my character. You did all this stuff for me. I really appreciate it. Thanks. That's not how you do business. No. So I feel like there's too much of things like that go on nowadays, where wrestlers are just notoriously unreliable, right? Like, you can't rely on them. And if I have to rely on them to pay my rent, that's a scary position to be in.
Yeah.
We're fortunate we have a great roster, right? But I can't, expect all my roster, who is already trained and already did all this, to support my next business venture. You know what I mean? So I have to find completely new people to go to this training school. And I know a lot of people who are great trainers and would be great trainers. I would never put them in a position where I'm like, oh, hey, I can't pay you now because this guy didn't pay me. It's just, for me, there's.
What if you took all the money up front? You have to pay the whole tuition up front, and no refund. I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I guess there's ways to do it, but for me, not worth the headache. Not something I want in my life.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to run that by you because I wanted to hear what you had to say about it. Okay. I do get it. I do. I remember Jeannie and I went to Dominic DeNucci's wrestling school. And God bless him. You know, Mick Foley was on our podcast, and he told the story where Dominic was so kind and so generous that Mick, when he first started, didn't have the money to get himself a pair of boots, didn't have the money for anything. And Dominic's just giving him stuff for free. And all right, we'll do this. Instead of paying me $100 a week, how about 25? Because he saw the potential there, you know.
The last show that Dominic DeNucci ever went to was our show in November of 2019, I think it was.
Really? Where was that?
In Marlboro. He came with Shane. Okay. He came with Shane Douglas. Yeah.
Okay.
Great guy.
Yeah. Oh, Dominic. Let me tell you, I got stories about Dominic. I've known Dominic since I was 12. Okay, 12 years old, and he was a total angel. I'm going to just say this: I lost my whole family by the time I was 21, so I was completely alone.
Very sorry.
Thank you. But my father, I didn't lose him then. He just walked out on me. He abandoned me. He left me. At 21, I think you're still young enough where you shouldn't be abandoned by your family. But my mother died. You know, my uncle died. My other family members they wanted to do their own thing, and they didn't care. My father did not care. And Dominic stepped right up. Dominic was like, this is bullshit. In plain English, this is bullshit. He said, you know, how can your father do that to you? We're an old Italian family, you know. And, he stepped up. And let me tell you, I can't even begin to tell you the things Dominic did for me to help me, because I had no family. I had nothing, all right? And I've been like that all my life, raised my children on my own, did everything on my own. I worked 3 jobs for 30 years. It is what it is. Now I'm suffering for it, but this is why now I want to relax a little bit. I'm still working.
Sure. Yeah.
I want to retire, but not yet. I can't yet.
Right.
But, you know, but this is why I want to start bringing back some wrestling that I think is important. I think it's important for the fans to hear this, and you know, so whenever a lot of times when we put our podcast out, people are like, well, if it doesn't have a big celebrity, we're not going to listen. You know, which I get that. I do.
Sure, yeah, it's all clickbait and click titles and everything like that. I get it.
But I think what's important, again, is we try to portray and pass along the fact that it's not what it used to be. And listening to somebody like you, okay, maybe somewhere out there's a young man or a young woman who is desperate to become a wrestler, desperate to learn, desperate to want to make their lives a little bit different, okay? And maybe, just maybe, talking or listening to you and to listening to our podcast once in a while might just say, you know what, maybe I do want to look for a wrestling school. Maybe I do want to try. That's what happened with Chris's son. You know, he wanted to do this. So he found, if you want to do something, you'll find it. You'll find a way to do it.
Yeah.
If there's anything that any of us can do to help, we will help. I know I will. Okay.
I appreciate that.
You know, at all. But we were so seriously, though. I know it was difficult, and unfortunately, we didn't get to see you that much last week. And again, like I said, I didn't know you. I had just met you that night, and I was still very impressed with everything. That Legends Battle Royal was funny as hell. Okay, and it was so. I don't even know how to say it without sounding stupid, because
I'm sorry, Magnum was there. I was so excited to see Magnum. I was like, oh my god, I remember him. And he's
helped me out with a lot of like DVDs I was missing and stuff like that. He found like clips, sent me like a hard drive. He's been completely great to deal with.
All right, now who's Magnum? Do I know this guy, Jeannie?
He managed. Did he manage Ooh La La when they came out?
Yeah. The guy with the blondish crew cut kind of thing. Yep. Okay. You know who I liked a lot too was the gentleman who fought Low-Ki.
Mega.
Okay.
Mega.
Yeah.
Very popular, good guy for ECWA. Yeah.
He was I'd like to have him on the show too. He was very good. It was amazing to see him and Low-Ki, because when they first went in, I'm like, I don't know, is this going to go real quick? And you know, you figure right away, you know. Well,
it's funny. It's funny about that, because me and Kettner had been talking about that match for months leading up to it, because they both wanted to do that match, and it's a real clash of styles. And we were both kind of like, I don't know what's going to happen here. Like, what are they going to do? But Jim's like, I got faith in them. They'll figure something out. And they did it. Yeah.
They did it. Yeah. They did it. And I'm going to tell you something. With as much as Mega right? That's his name, Mega. As much as Mega had size over Low Key, and as much that it didn't look like either one of them really held back, but Low Key and Mega together, the way they handled that match, I think was a good match. I really do.
It was.
I think it was a very good match. And it was funny because when you see like in regular TV wrestling, a big person goes against a smaller person, it's like right away, well, the big person's going to eat them for dinner. End of story. You already know how it's going to end. I had no idea Low Key was going to win that match. I really didn't. Okay. But again, he was so stealthy. That's the only word I could think of for Low Key. He was very stealthy. He was very like, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I wasn't ready for any of it. I literally walked in there thinking, oh, they made me come here. They made me drive this far. They made me do this. Made me, because Jeannie and Joel and my daughter, kept saying, Ma, you have a podcast. You have to go. You have to show your face. I said, for what?
You got to mingle. You got to mingle.
But you know what? But I was so grateful that I went. I was grateful to Jeannie. I was grateful to Joel. I was grateful to my daughter, because that's what I need to do. I need to get out, and I need to start doing that. I need to start showing people that I'm still alive, I'm still here, and what I can and can't help them with,
And it's still fun going.
It is fun. It's really is
fun going.
It is. And like I said, talking to the guys and the girls or whatever is awesome, because that's what's important. Now, speaking of girls, do you have any women that are going to be on any of your shows?
I don't know about September. We had a girl who recently won the ECWA championship, Erica Lee. She was the first woman to compete in the Super 8. So she kind of like broke a lot of like barriers for us.
She was very good. I've seen her several times.
Very, very popular. And I remember I got messages from somebody's mother after one of the shows saying, you don't understand how important it is for my little girl to see someone like that, being able to compete against one of the guys.
She can hold her own. She did a lot of intergender wrestling, the guys, and she kicked butt.
Yeah,
and
she's one of my favorite people too.
So where was she Saturday?
So we only used like maybe 3 or 4 of our current roster. Everything else was legends. We didn't use most of our current. I would have loved to use everybody from our roster.
Is
but
Erica still the champ?
No, the guy Darius Carter is. Erica actually had an injury that she's still kind of working through.
I love Darius. I've seen him wrestle. I saw him win the Super 8.
Fantastic wrestler. Yeah.
I thought she had the women's championship though as well.
No, we actually got rid of the women's title. We kept having everyone who won it would vacate it. So it was just like, all right, it ain't working. So
really
we got rid of it, and
unfortunately there's not a whole lot of women wrestlers in the area that are good. And that, they don't stick around for whatever reason.
That really is, because I'd love to see more women do that. And if we could get her on the show, I'd like to do that too at some point, because I think it's important. It's important for today. We're in the 21st century, and women still get treated like dirt in a lot of situations. And
the wrestling's a man's club, so.
Oh yeah, and
always will be.
Yeah, and I don't like that. If I have anything to do with it, it won't always be. I don't like that. I want to see women hold their own. I want to see women show that they're just as good in their own way. You know what I mean? So I think that it's important that we find out even more who else is on your roster, and come to some of these shows that have other people on your roster and see them wrestle. Like I said, with these young guys, I was really, really impressed with a lot of these young people. And if
who's great, and I don't know if I think he's still there, because I think he lost the belt to Darius Carter, but Joey Ace.
Yeah, Joey Ace is still in.
I love him.
So good. Yeah, very good.
I love him. He is amazing.
Do you know the card yet for the September show, Brian?
It's in flux because we had some last minute well, I call them last minute changes because the card's been put together for months and all of a sudden people can't make it. So it's in flux right now, but we'll be announcing stuff in the next couple of days, I'm sure.
Well, I'll tell you what, like I said, feel free. I welcome any information you would be willing to give us, any updates you'd be willing to give us. We can announce. Like I said, I don't know 100% who listens to our show. I really don't. I don't know that we have 25 listeners versus 200 listeners. I don't know any of that. I'm not a numbers person. I honestly don't know. Okay. But what I do know is that there are people who listen because people have said stuff to us. I like your show or I didn't like your show. Okay. And I think that's really important because whatever we can do to help either up and coming or a status holder like you in your ECWA, I want to be able to help, and I want to be able to, push it as far as we can. Then maybe, if we come to the show, if you don't mind, you could re-announce our podcast, and that would help us a lot as well.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I think, I really want to do this, and I'm gonna Jeannie all the credit, all of it, because Jeannie has literally beat me to death. All right, with indie stuff, and she's like, oh no, I go, oh no, I love them, oh no this, oh no that, and again, if it wasn't,
I mean, I've been to some indie shows. I won't mention any names, but where it was just god awful, and it was like the guys had no idea what the heck they were doing. It was like they had one day of training and that was it, and
that'll happen.
Awful. But the shows that I go to, they've proven themselves to be really good, really good. The only complaint I would have is that there's in Jersey anyway, there's a lot. And a lot of times
there's a lot. Yes, there is a lot.
And a lot of times
and there's a lot of bad too.
Yeah.
To be fair.
And they'll book the shows on the same days as their competition, and it's like the fans are like, well, where do I go?
There's a lot of like scummy people running in New Jersey without getting into it, and it's just, but it is what it is. Like, that's where I live, that's where I grew up. So we've been, like I said, I've been running for, I don't know, 15 years or so. Like at this point, like I'm an old time promoter, like
you got but you got to do what works for you. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah.
Let me look. Who thought in a heartbeat that after 40 years I'd be starting a podcast at my age? I got like, I mean, come on. Who does that shit? I'm 67 years old. And I'm reliving my dream. But hey, to me it's fun, and a lot of people.
That's all that. At the end of the day, that's all that matters.
Exactly. Well, a lot of people are like, why don't you have advertisers? Why don't you? Because then I'd have to interrupt this.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that right now. I really don't. I want to have fun. And if we get advertisers, we do. If we don't, we don't. I'm fine with this because it's fun. And it gives us the opportunity to push, Ryan, this is one of the first times, I'm going to be honest with you, that we have done a show that's almost an hour and a half long. Okay.
I'm sorry.
No.
I went on for too long.
No, not at all. No, not at all.
It might be the second longest. I think the Dominic tribute was 2 hours. But
trust me when I tell you. Okay, you don't know me. If I wanted this show to end sooner, it would have ended sooner. Okay, I said to you, all right, Ryan, we're done. Let's go. Okay, nice knowing you, nice meeting you. But you've really made an impression on me as far as being that guy who is willing to give people a chance. And honestly, I can't tell you what that means to me.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot. Real quick, I know you guys got to go. Can I just say something about Kevin Sullivan real quick?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So we had Kevin Sullivan come to, he came to 3 of our shows, but he worked 2 of them.
Wow.
And he had no business being as nice as he was, as generous with his time as he was. He purposely took me aside and explained to me what he thought I was doing wrong, what he thought I was doing right, and did it every time he came to the show. And then afterwards, my wife came out with us to eat afterwards, and he sat there and talked with her, like just the nicest guy, a wealth of knowledge, and somebody that the wrestling community is sorely going to miss.
Yes.
So I just wanted to throw that out. I know I'm running late.
No,
you're
please,
fine.
Ryan, no, don't feel that way at all. Like I said, if we wanted you off, you would have been off. All right, no. I agree with you because I knew Kevin back in the day. Okay, he was always a very kind man. And as a matter of fact, I was talking to Joel today, and Joel didn't know at that moment that he had passed. He's like, "Oh no!" And that's why I put on Facebook, "This one hurts." Not that they don't hurt, none of them, but this one was close, you know.
Yeah.
And he said that Kevin Sullivan also worked for him multiple times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Against Eddie Gilbert and Terry Funk, I think.
Yeah.
And as I said earlier, I was talking to Glenn Osborne, who I literally adore. I again met him a million years ago, and he's another one, so kind. And we were talking on Messenger, and he was telling me how kind Kevin was to him as well.
Yeah.
And see, that's just it. When you hear other people that are in the same business saying that somebody is kind, and somebody, like you said, goes out of their way to help you rather than just criticize, you know, a lot of wrestlers might be like, I'm not doing this crap, you know. They don't know what they're doing. I'm out. I'm not making enough money here. And you know, that's most of them. Like I said, I'm not going to mention the name right now, but ultimately I will. I had an encounter last night with somebody, and I was like, "Oh, you so-and-so, don't you dare. Who do you think you are? You are a nobody." And
you got to text me who it was, because I'm dying to know.
I will. I didn't say it to him only because someone else that I'm very close with is close to him. And I wouldn't do that right now.
Yeah, ruffle feathers and all that.
No, I didn't want to do that, okay? But I will. When this is all over and done, oh, hell yes, okay? I will. You know, when you get to be my age, your brain gets empty. So things that you want to remember stay in there. I always tell my kids, I remember what's important, okay? And that's true. And I will have my day, and I will tell him exactly what I think and how rude I thought he was. And I don't care who knows it. Now I do care. But later on, oh, hell no, okay? But anyway, Ryan, I literally cannot thank you enough, okay?
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
No, this show was a lot better, honestly. I didn't, in the beginning, when you were coming on, I was kind of like to Joel, I'm like, I don't know him. Like, what am I going to talk about? And he's like, you'll think of stuff, you know. But it was easy. It was really easy because I didn't write anything down. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm just going to fly by the seat of my pants. I have no idea who this guy is. But I do now.
And I like it that way.
You know, but I do now. And I know that you're a kind person. And I know that you care about other people. And those two things right there make you good in my book. Okay, period. All I ever look for is somebody's kind and respectful, and that's that, because I want to be treated the way I try to treat other people. And with the show you put on last week and the effort that was clearly put into it, was it a perfect show? No. What shows are perfect? Okay, none of them. Was it a show that had an incredible amount of effort? Absolutely. Was it a show that left us going home saying they busted their asses? Absolutely. Okay. So yeah, it was worth going to see. And I am going to say that.
Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate it.
Anytime. And I would like to come to your Marlboro show.
Absolutely.
Again, I would love it if you could just, keep in touch. Keep me posted on what's coming up, because we will announce the hell out of it. And
thank you.
No problem. And if you wouldn't mind, like I said, maybe getting a couple of the guys even before the show, we'll sneak them in if we have to, Yeah. We'll move somebody out of the way or something, But and I was telling Jeannie, for the next couple of weeks, I don't know if I said this to you in the beginning, for the next few weeks we might be doing Friday night tapings anyway, because I'm going to be working Saturdays. So so if they're available Friday, that'd be even better, because this actually worked out really well.
Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah, so like I said, any of them, I really would like to have Chris Wilde. I really would like to have Low Key. I really would like to have, again, that gentleman with the blonde hair. I'm sorry, I forgot his name already.
Vince Goodnight.
Okay, right, Rich Goodnight. I would love to have Ooh La La back on again. I would love to have Mega. Is that right? Okay.
Yep, that's right.
I don't know the other ones' names. The ones Jeannie mentioned, the Chase guy. And
Chase Delmonte and Aiden Chambers.
Aiden, yeah. Anybody?
Aiden is retired. Aiden lives down in South Carolina, North Carolina, somewhere down south.
Something like that,
Yeah, but he could still get on the.
I know. I'm just saying he doesn't. And I think Mega he's retired as well.
I think so. He's down in Florida. I know that because he came up for the show. But we'll see. Yeah, we'll get me over who you want, and I'll link you up with who
I'm saying.
to talk to.
Carmela, for the Saturday show. I mean, for the September show, none of those guys are going to be on that card because they don't live around here. Retired.
All right, but that's okay because we'll meet. Guys. Yeah, we'll meet other people, and we'll work with that. That's fine with me. Yeah. I'd like to consider. I'd like to say publicly that I would like to consider you a friend, okay? And like to keep in touch, as I said. I would love, again, as I said, to reiterate, and you'll understand I repeat myself, clearly you can see that. But I really enjoyed this show a lot. And because we were able to speak openly and clearly and candidly. And that is, we had no pretense. There was no things that we had to keep up, no appearances, nothing like that. We just shot from the hip, all very honest. And I think that this was a really good show. We're going to promote the hell out of it when we drop it. And, like I said, your name will be on our show regularly.
Thank you.
And again, I thank you because you didn't have to do this. You could have very easily said, no, you don't know me from Adam.
I do know. I know you. I know exactly who you are.
Okay.
I know my wrestling history. I know who you are.
He does work with Joe Zanoli, so he knows who you are.
Okay,
he works with John Finnegan. He knows who you are, Carm.
Sometimes I think Joe Zanoli doesn't like me too much. I don't know why, but I get that feeling.
That's just his demeanor.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I love Joe, and I love John. I do. But I just want to thank you for being kind. And I want to thank you for doing this for us and for not just saying, screw them, they're nobodies, and I appreciate that. I do. Thank you so much. Give your kids a kiss for me. Tell them I said thank you for letting you be on the show. Tell your wife, I'd love to meet her one day. And we'll see you, God willing, we'll see you in September.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Jeannie, do you have anything you want to
No, just thanks for doing the show and thanks for everything you did for the ECWA tribute show and keep up the good work.
No problem. Thank you guys so much. It means a lot.
No problem. Ryan, I'm going to take you off the screen now, and then you can go ahead and shut down and do whatever, and Jeannie and I are going to close up. Thank you.
Talk to you later.
God bless you. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, so that, to me, was a great show. Okay, It was worth the hour and a half. And it's funny because Joel said, he told me, he thinks we should make the show a little bit longer, and I'm starting to agree with him. It was nice not to have to close it down in an hour, So again, we're asking all of you, please like our show, subscribe, and share. We need you to help us promote. Please just do it. It's a button. It really is. And if you subscribe, you don't have to wait for us to advertise it because it'll automatically notify you. Again, if you want to reach any of us, it's on your screen, 316carmela@gmail.com. Ask questions. Tell us that you want to be on the show. Anybody that you want to have on the show, anybody you want to talk to, any questions you have, that's what our job is. That's what we're here for. And we love you, Jeannie. I love you to death.
I love you more.
I love you. And then we will see you next week. But hopefully everybody will love the show and enjoy down tonight.
Yes, I do have to go because my Eagles are playing. It's the first preseason game. And then the Phillies are playing later on tonight. So I will not be watching SmackDown. I might watch it replay depending on what I hear. But
that's okay. Yeah. I'll keep you posted on it.
There you go.
Okay. Have fun. I love you.
All right.
Goodbye.
I love you. Bye.
Okay. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.